Okay, let's unpack this. What if everything you thought you knew about the Giza pyramids, maybe even history itself, was only, part of the story? Today, we're doing a deep dive into sources claiming these ancient wonders hold, well, suppressed truths and profound prophetic significance. It really challenges conventional timelines, standard interpretations. So our mission, cut through all the information overload, give you some surprising facts, maybe a few aha moments about this.
Yeah, this truly intriguing material.
And what's compelling here, I think, is how these sources argue for something quite profound, often suppressed, they say, a truth about humanity's past and future. They suggest a divine purpose for the pyramids, something that goes way beyond purely material explanations. You almost need a spiritual lens, they claim, to really grasp it.
Okay, so where do these, let's call them unconventional interpretations, where do they start?
Yeah.
Our sources point pretty directly, actually, to Isaiah 19:19.
Yeah.
Talks about the Great Pyramid as an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt and a pillar to the Lord at its border.
And apparently the name Giza itself means border, plus its location, central.
Yeah.
It fits that altar in the midst idea perfectly, according to them.
Exactly. And in this view, you see, the pyramid isn't just some pharaoh's tomb. It's a sacred structure representing Christ, they believe. The altar part signifies worship, sacrifice. The pillar, that's like a public declaration, a witness to the Lord. But maybe the most intriguing part these sources bring up is the internal design.
Ah, the passages inside.
Yes, interpreted as a divinely ordained prophetic chronometer.
Chronometer, like a timeline.
Precisely, mapping out a detailed timeline of biblical prophecy.
Okay, that's a lot to consider.
So imagine these sources say you're walking through this ancient blueprint, the descending entrance, for instance, that symbolizes souls entering hell. Its alignment, they point out, is towards Alpha Draconis, a star system linked symbolically to Satan in these texts.
Okay, dark start.
Then you have the ascending passage that's said to represent the period from the Exodus up to the birth of Christ.
Right.
Then the Grand Gallery, this huge, high passage, symbolizes the era from Christ's birth all the way to the rapture. And its 7 overhanging courses. Those are read as the 7 church periods from Revelation.
Wow, okay.
Then there's a low passageway, signifying the short tribulation period. And the kings and queens chambers, they're notably vacant, right? Not burial chambers in this view.
So what do they symbolize then?
Christ and the bride queen, essentially, and the coffer in the king's chamber. Remarkably, its internal dimensions are said to equal the Ark of the Covenant.
No way.
Yeah. Symbolizing perhaps Christ's sacrifice or resurrection.
These interpretations are definitely striking. I mean, they completely contradict mainstream archaeology, which says tomb, period. So if the real purpose is prophetic, then the standard tomb story is, in effect, hiding that deeper truth, a kind of suppression.
That's the argument, yes.
Yeah.
Post-flood construction. They cite geological evidence like the limestone itself containing marine fossils, those little disc-shaped ones, nummulites.
Oh, right. I've heard of those.
Deposited by Noah's flood, they say. So structures made of flood-deposited rock can't predate the flood itself, logically. Plus, they argue the blocks show no signs of erosion from a massive global deluge.
Okay, so post-flood, but then it gets even wilder.
It does, because if you connect this to the bigger picture, these sources assert the pyramids were built after the really cataclysmic end-time event.
You mean like in the book of Revelation?
Yes. After the seals, the bowls, the cups, foretelling things in Revelation, the millennium.
Yeah.
It's quite a claim.
It really is. So how do we unpack this? What's our mission with these sources today?
Well, we want to pull out the key insights, from the material you've gathered on Isaiah, Revelation, and this field called pyramidology.
Yeah.
The goal is to show you how the Great Pyramid is presented as this Bible in stone. It's a pretty unique perspective, definitely.
A Bible in stone. Okay, so it starts with Isaiah, chapter 19.
Exactly. A foundational assertion in these sources is that the Great Pyramid is the literal altar and pillar mentioned in Isaiah 19, verses 19 and 20.
An altar and a pillar. But not for sacrifice, they clarify.
Right, not for sacrifice, more like a witness, a memorial. Kind of like the altar mentioned in Joshua 22. Its function is symbolic, a testament.
And geographically, how does that supposedly fit?
The sources really emphasize this. They say it's perfectly located in the midst of Egypt, but also at the border. And apparently, the name Giza itself translates to border.
Wow. Okay. And beyond location, there's the structure itself, the precision.
Oh, absolutely. They point to the, unparalleled precision, how the stones fit, its perfect orientation to true north, all cited as evidence of, divine architecture. This is what makes it in their view, a sign and witness unto the Lord.
So this precision, it's not just amazing engineering, it's the basis for this Bible in stone idea.
Precisely. Early pyramidologists, names like John Taylor, Piazzi Smith, Joseph Seiss, even Charles Case Russell, and the Edgar brothers, they developed this. The idea is that the pyramid's passages, its chambers, they symbolically map out biblical concepts, prophetic timelines, a physical blueprint of God's plan, basically.
And this was all kept secret until the time at the end, according to these sources.
That's the claim, that the full understanding was meant for later times. To the unveiling, the understanding of its divine message, and specifically after the events of Revelation start to unfold.
After Revelation starts, so like after the seven seals, the trumpets, the bowls.
Exactly. After those progressive judgments, leading up to Armageddon, only then, supposedly, does the pyramid's prophetic message become fully clear, fully legible.
Which leads to the millennium. The sources get really specific here, don't they?
They do. They assert the Great Pyramid actually marks the start of that 1,000-year kingdom, the millennium you read about in Revelation 20. You know, the time when Satan is bound, Christ reigns visibly.
And specific parts of the pyramid are linked to this.
Yeah, interpretations link features like the king's chamber, maybe the queen's chamber, directly to this millennial reign and what comes after. They even see things like the second resurrection encoded, Satan's brief little season rebellion, and the pit chamber symbolizing the second death.
Well, it's definitely unconventional. And the sources acknowledge people are skeptical, right? They talk about a suppressed truth.
They do. The core idea is the truth is there, although suppressed. Often they say by conventional history and science, like the standard dating of the pyramids to 2600 BC.
And they see modern criticisms like maybe dismissing new radar claims under Giza as fringe as part of that suppression.
Sort of, yeah. They frame it as mainstream resistance because these findings or interpretations might challenge the established timelines and paradigms. It's seen as resisting inconvenient truths. They even point to history within, say, the Bible student movement. Early on, influenced by Russell and the Edgars, they used pyramidology. But the Watchtower Society dropped it after 1928. For these sources, that's an example of the understanding being lost or obscured.
Interesting. So bringing this together for you, the listener, what's the takeaway? The Great Pyramid, according to these sources, is way more than just an old tomb.
Right. It's presented as this profound, divinely set altar and witness in Egypt. Its message, supposedly locked in stone, waiting to be fully unveiled in these latter days.